Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Q&A video. So I wanted to do a Q&A answering all of your questions about The Walking Dead because I think this is actually the first Q&A we're doing after Comic-Con. I could be wrong, but I think so. I'm not sure. But anyways, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. But let's just get into the very first question. Do you think methane is the key to all characters reuniting for either a new show or season 12, 13, and so on? Hope the move went smoothly. Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I would say it didn't because we moved over a couple of weeks and honestly, I don't recommend that. I think that you just end up pushing a lot of stuff off and it's like, you might as well just have like, certain dates where it's like, all right, we're going to move on these days kind of thing and like everything already. Like, yeah, it just wasn't fun to move over, those couple weeks or whatever. And so yeah, but anyways, that's all done now. So I'm thankful to be, through with all of that. But in terms of methane and like, that storyline and how that could, I guess be, something that would reunite all of the characters, I personally don't think so, because I think that the methane storyline is just going to be Dead City, and I kind of think that the methane storyline might be over a little bit. I don't know. It depends on where they want to go for season 3. Like, that's the thing. The showrunner, Seth Hoffman, he's taking over for Dead City, and it's one of those things where, he's a really, I don't even know how he is as a showrunner, but, in terms of what he's written for The Walking Dead and all that, he's a really great person to have as a showrunner, I would say. And so, I want to see him do more than season 3. It seems like he's going to be doing season 3 and 4, at least that's the rumor right now. So that'd be really cool. And it just depends on where he wants to go with the story, right? Because he's the one that is sort of, doing the story. Like, that's the one thing that I've really learned about these spinoffs here is that the showrunners really do come up with the story. And like the writers, like they're all working on stuff. And Gimple, like, you would think that he's coming up with a lot of the story, but he's not really. Like, I think he knows like certain things where it's like, well, you don't like go here or do this. Like, he wants the characters to be in certain places, but the showrunners are really the ones that are coming up with the story and everything. And so I think Seth Hoffman for Dead City, he might not like the direction that Eli Journe was going in for season 1 and 2. So he could totally go in a different direction and like wrap up a storyline really fast. I mean, if you really think about it, they don't really need to do anything more with it. Like, New Babylon, they have the methane now, and that could just be the end of it. Like, the characters, maybe they don't really care to take the methane from them, so they could just sort of, go on to something else. So I guess to answer your question, I don't think the methane is going to be the key to reunite all the characters. I think that Gimple is likely going to be the showrunner, most likely, of that show, and like when all of them reunite. Like, that's just my guess anyways, because he was sort of running everything with the ones who live. I think that he would end up doing that, and so I do think that it's probably going to end with the storyline here. And in terms of like if it's going to be a new show or a season 12, 13, and so on, I do think it's going to be more of a new show, because I just think a season 12, like, there's a lot of issues there with The Walking Dead and, some of the stuff that went on with Robert Kirkman, or I guess Frank Darabont, and I just feel like I don't know. Q&A. If/when we get a show with all the characters reuniting, do you think they will reuse the original Walking Dead theme song? Hearing that again after so long would give me chills. You know what? I've actually been wondering this, because I think that's the one thing you would need to do. Like, I don't even really care about getting The Walking Dead season 12 or 13 or anything like that, but like, honestly, having that theme song play in the beginning would be absolutely incredible. And I think they need to do that. Like, I'm just really looking at it like, it just makes a lot of sense. Like, if you come up with a different theme song, it could work. Like, I do like the theme songs for all the spinoffs, but they're nothing that's like memorable. I think the Walking Dead theme song, and that's the thing, like, there's a lot of TV shows that have, really awesome theme songs, but they're not memorable. The Walking Dead's is so iconic. Like, it's really up there with like the best theme songs of all time. So I think that it makes sense to reuse that theme song. And I mean, I hope they do. I just don't know if there's any issues with using it when it comes to, anything with The Walking Dead, because obviously, like, that's The Walking Dead's theme song, right? So if they did something else, like, like a different spinoff or whatever, and they use that song, would there be issues there? Like, that's the only thing I don't really know. Like, obviously AMC could use all of that, but it's just, would they have to pay extra to like Frank Darabont and all that? Like, I'm not sure if that's why they're avoiding stuff like that. Like, I really have no idea, but I'm wondering about that, because it just kind of seemed like that's why the original show ended and why we got all the spinoffs. So we'll have to wait and see. Q&A, how do you see The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon ending? I think that it's likely going to end. I think it's pretty obvious. I think Daryl and Carol will end up back in America. I just think that is something that everyone wants to see. I think if you're writing for the show and, you want Daryl and Carol to go into I guess go to Europe and just like experience what it's like in Europe to, be in the apocalypse and all that. I just think you would want him to eventually come back because it makes a lot of sense, in terms of how Daryl and Carol got there and all of that. Like, you want it to be like this really cool story and really exciting and all of that. So I get that. Like, I do get all of that. But I think that you need to end it with them coming back to America. And the reason why I'm saying that is because obviously there's a chance that like maybe they decide that they don't want to be in America or anything and they want to stay out there, right? Like, imagine that's the ending here, is that it just ends with the characters like deciding, you know what? Because that's the thing, like, in season 3, the one storyline that's going to be introduced is the characters being like, you know what, we got to start living. Like, we're just focused on surviving constantly. We need to focus on living and being happy. And so I think Daryl and Carol are really like, obviously in season 3, they're going to help out this community. But I think that it's eventually going to get to a point where they're like, yeah, you know what, we need to start living again. And I'm wondering if by the end of season 4, it's like, you know what? Let's just start living. Like, we don't have to go back to America. Let's just, let's stay here and let's just travel the world. Let's just do that. And that could be the ending. Like, it would be, I guess, a satisfying ending in some sense, but I don't know. I think most people want Daryl back in America, and a decision like that for the writers, like, it would upset a lot of people because they want Daryl back in America. Like, they want all the characters to reunite, right? And so, like, that's the exciting thing about watching the next 2 seasons of the show, is just to see how they're going to build to that. But if, it just builds to that moment and the characters just decide to stay out there, I think people are going to be really upset. It's going to be like, wait, what? What's happening now? Like, the characters are just going to stay out there? Like, that makes no sense, right? Q&A. Will we have any Spanish characters going to the Commonwealth like we had for France, or will this 2-season arc be entirely self-contained? I think that they could potentially do that. Like, I do think that, like, Laurent being there was a reason why Laurent, or the actor who plays Laurent, was at Comic-Con. I think that he will be a part of the show. Probably not for season 3, but I think for season 4. I think we'll see him at the end. I really do think that, like, Daryl, it would be smart. Like, if someone, from the storyline that we're, about to get into here for season 3 and 4, if they also go with Daryl and Carol to America, and then like, it's just sort of a combination of that whole story. Like, Daryl comes back here and now, he has somebody from Spain, and also Laurent's already there from France, right? Like, it just sort of connects all of that. And I think that would be really cool. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Like, obviously we know Laurent is at the Commonwealth right now, so like, that's a good thing. And it seems like for season 3, based on filming and like all of that, the actor who plays Laurent wasn't anywhere at all. So I don't think it's going to be a reveal where, Laurent is just like, oh, something happened and now he's back in France or back. You know what I mean? Like, I think he actually is at the Commonwealth. So that's exciting. Like, I do think that Daryl's going to reunite with Laurent in season 4, and we will see him there. And I do think any future spinoff, Laurent's probably going to be a part of it. I'm assuming, like, you would have to have the character there, right? Like, I imagine the character is going to be, he would have to be in that new spinoff, I would say, but it depends. Like, they could always literally write it where Laurent just wants to stay at the Commonwealth. Like, they did that with like Carl, Judith, RJ, like everyone, right? Like, they just kept them like in Alexandria or whatever, just while everyone was dealing with everything else. So I could totally see that happening. Q&A. Do you think in the reunion spinoff, we can actually get a CRM and Commonwealth alliance with them working together, or them under one umbrella? Another question, do you think we could possibly still get a spinoff with Clementine, or maybe that added some way in the reunion spinoff? Love all that you do. Keep it coming. Thank you so much. I think, the Clementine spinoff, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, that is something that if you were to do a Clementine spinoff, a lot of people are going to watch. Like, that's going to have huge ratings because people like, video game adaptations, even though sometimes they don't work out. Like, we're seeing with The Last of Us, like, people are watching that show, right? So it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, that's somewhere that you should go. And I don't know why AMC is not trying to do that, or maybe they have and there's some issues there. I don't know, but that just makes a lot of sense to me. Like, do that, right? As for the CRM and Commonwealth actually, having an alliance, I think they probably already do, because to me, the CRM are good, right? Because Rick and Michonne are working with the CRM right now, right? Like, obviously they're going to be back at the Commonwealth doing whatever, but like, they also spend their time helping out other communities and stuff. Like, that seems to be the direction they're likely going to go in, just based off of Denai Guerrero's comments anyways, about like, what could happen afterwards. And I just think that makes a lot of sense. Like, the CRM is going to be very aware of the Commonwealth, and I just think that both communities are going to be separate, but the CRM just helps out. And maybe there's some issues there with the CRM and some stuff comes up, but I imagine that it's probably going to be an alliance, and that I don't think we're going to get too much of the CRM storyline anymore. I really think that we'll see them, and I think that they'll be a part of the story, but I think that's pretty much it. So I'll just say that I think there's likely going to be an alliance. I think it makes a lot of sense, but that's probably just gonna be it. Like, we'll just see the CRM around because they'll have supplies, and like maybe Rick is wearing a CRM jacket or something like that because he's like, you know, some sort of high ranking official there or whatever, or a part of the military. Like, I feel like it's really just gonna be something like that. Q&A, which scenario of ending Daryl's spinoff would be the best for you? Because I think that if Daryl's spinoff ends, like he just came back with Carol by their own, and like, oh, Rick, you are here, then this whole journey to Europe will be just a waste of time with no connections to anything. I think the series can save only finding Rick's brother in Spain. Only this scenario seems exciting for me because it's possible that Rick somehow will fly to Europe and save them because Laurent and Ash could only tell him that they saw Daryl and Carol last time in France and they are not there anymore. Well, yeah, that's the thing about that. So like, even if Laurent tells Rick like, yeah, Daryl and Carol are in France, that's not going to really matter because like, obviously Daryl and Carol aren't there, right? They're in Spain now. I don't think they're going to be going back to France. Like, if there's a way that they eventually go back to France in season 4, then I'll be like, all right, so maybe that's how you run into Caudron again. And maybe that's where you see Rick, right? Like, I could see that, but I just don't see that being something that, like, I don't know, like, that does make sense. Like, that's the thing. When you think about the ending, it makes sense that they're almost going to be rescued in that sense by maybe the CRM, because Laurent is going back to the Commonwealth. Rick is there. Rick will have supplies and all of that from the CRM. Like, it makes sense the CRM could rescue Daryl. Like, that is something that makes so much sense. And maybe it doesn't ruin any sort of like reunion scene with Daryl and Rick, you know, like maybe we'll still get that whole story and everything and it'll be really exciting, but maybe it's just a good way to sort of end that. Like, Daryl and Carol are rescued by the CRM and they're taken back to America, right? Like, I could see that being a thing. So that's sort of, you know, I would like it to be like that. Like, Daryl and Carol, I think, just getting back to America on their own, like, that's the thing. Like, it could work as well. I'm honestly okay with both scenarios. I just think that having the CRM save Daryl would be really cool because you're actually having the CRM do other stuff now, right? So, and, you know, obviously we want them to be more, you know, a part of the story. So I think that would be cool. Q&A, do you think Ash and Laurent will return for season 3 and 4? And do you think there's going to be a 2027 series? I think Ash and Laurent will be there for season 4, not season 3. I think they'll probably be there at the very end, most likely, because I think that just makes sense for the ending. And in terms of a series in 2027, yeah, I think there will be. Like, based off of the rumors right now, it looks like they are working on something. And so, obviously, I feel like it's very, like, in the early stages or whatever, and they'll probably work on that throughout the rest of this year and all that. Maybe announce it at Comic-Con next year, which makes a lot of sense. And maybe they start filming at some point that year, like later in 2026, because season 4 of Daryl Dixon will end, you know, in late 2026. So I think that that would, you know, line up a lot with that show coming out in 2027. So, I mean, yeah, I guess to answer your question, I think that there will be a 2027 series for sure, but it's just one of those things where, as of right now, it's hard to say. But based off of, you know, what everyone is saying and like Gimple's comments on everything here, and, you know, the rumor that they're working on something right now, there's a new project actually happening, it just makes sense to me. Like, they're not gonna let The Walking Dead just be over next year. Like, there's no way, or I guess it would be early 2027. Like, Dead City season 4, that's the thing. Like, that is supposed to be actually a thing. So obviously it's a rumor right now, but I do trust the source on that. So we'll have to wait and see, though, obviously. And I think that that would be out early 2027. So yeah, that would be the series for 2027, right? But I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for posting all of your questions. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.